And hello everyone, welcome back to live stream with me, Tops. We're getting ready for a massive court case today. We're going to fly in as Richard. Make sure we get everyone, or message everyone that is going to be involved, and hopefully they'll be in court. Needs to be in court in just over 10 minutes for a pre-dietary hearing. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting court case, to say the least. Okay. Everything okay? Already messaged you. And last one. Right, I'm gonna go down and wait. So I will see you there. Why isn't my thing so far there?
Well,
You okay there?
hello.
I've changed my face. I've went to the plastic surgeon and all that. But
Okay.
when going up, say It is a way we could do it as a private one, where there's only
All
say,
courts
the
open.
police. It's just obviously say for instance, Tessa's there, if Arnie's there, any of them.
All courts
then they're
open.
gonna
They
know
can't
what
do
I look
anything.
like. Because then they're gonna know what I look like. They're gonna know my new surgery I've actually.
I can ask the judge, but I've got no clue what he will say.
Yeah, so it was just for my safety, really. If not, then I don't think I can be going ahead.
Okay.
What are these questions gonna be? Because I only memorised I only know certain stuff since it was 2 months ago when this situation happened.
The kind of stuff that I talked to you about the other day.
But so like, where the suspect was a male, not a female, and stuff like that.
What you said on radio, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got to head to the courthouse anyway. I'll see if I can talk to the judge beforehand about your situation.
So if not, I don't think I'm gonna be able to go ahead for it.
Do you want? Do you want me in uniform or not?
It'll be a bit more professional if you're able to. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so get my suit on with it.
Say no more. I'll hop in my station gear and so.
Okay, I'll see you at the courthouse.
See you down.
There we go. Right, courthouse. Get this all sorted. Okay. Not gonna lie, it's a bit nerve-wracking. I also need to head to. I need to think about the toilet for a little bit beforehand. There's a lot of people up there.
We're all friends here, right? Right?
Richard, looking good, going down. We came prepared. You're going down. Walk away.
I'm just not gonna indulge him. Your Honor, can I approach the bench?
Yeah, go for it, Matt.
One of my witnesses on the witness list is undergoing witness protection. So is it possible to call them without using their name?
Yeah. We'll talk about evidence and witnesses in the pre-trial hearing, but yeah, sure.
Okay,
Well,
no
which
worries.
one is it?
The individual that had to change the name prior, that we're acquainted with.
Richard, looking good. Looking like Angus, oddly enough.
Do you mind, Mr. Barrett? Just need a minute.
Apologies.
I need to know which one not to call out the name of. That's the issue.
Double H.
Sure.
Okay, no worries. I just quickly need to think about using the toilet, and then I'll be ready.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. to get myself sat down properly.
When does it start?
Right, back in a few minutes' time.
What do you call him?
Said I'm a big fan.
Of who?
David.
Who's David?
Oh fuck. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Sweet. Callum? You talking about Callum, are you?
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Gendrick. There
Okay,
we go.
yeah.
Oh mate, you okay?
I'm so sorry.
You might have to go around. It's just slots.
We're literally into a while with that game. It's what happens when you are unemployed, spend all day on evening.
Do you want to do the opening step? I feel like you're better at them. I'll do the question. Chillin'. Where's your client, Richard? TikTok.
Just realised I was on the wrong scene.
Boys, chill out.
Alright, okay.
Fucking disgusting.
What?
Yes.
What?
You 100% can.
Ethan.
Oh, where is she? Downstairs? Yeah, she'll have dispatch.
We're literally just waiting. Gonna bring up my
Not
game
yet,
plan.
Steve.
Good evening, Miss Yang. She's not in cells, where is she?
Hello? Hello, I can't hear you.
Right, time is 17:50. We're going to call the pre-dietary hearing for Miss Zane. I believe the defense has a motion to set forth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you approach the stand and bring your motion, please?
Sorry for my
Your Honor, sorry, my client's calling me. Apologies, Your Honor. Can I message my client back to say that I'm currently in court?
Mr. Stoker, we're dealing with the matter at hand, which is the motion you're wishing to push forward.
I understand that, but you. Okay, right. Sorry, it's a bit. I'm a bit rusty. Is this where I just? Is this the opening statement for my motion?
This is your motion, yes.
Okay. So, Your Honor, there is a multitude of inefficiencies with the evidence provided by the prosecution today. First of all, the motion to dismiss being on the grounds of the evidence being stated as Penal Code 1702. Disobeying a peace officer would breach my client's civil rights to freedom of speech. As stated as the officer or officer's notes, that, quote, my client said, quote, I don't have to listen to you, which would fall under freedom of speech, and subsequently the retaliation from the officer to detain her on this breach would be a breach of Miss Zane's rights. There was no further communication noted in any evidence that of any noticings for the arresting officer to state the reasons for the arrest, apart from stating multiple times, apparently this quote unquote, this is a lawful order, which in itself does not classify as a lawful order, which would be there's no reasonings under the Stop and Account of Police Powers Act, Section 11. And the subsequently assaulting and grabbing and detaining my client would be a further breach of Sections 11 and 12 of the Police Powers Act. Apologies, Your Honor, I'm just reading through my notes. Also, in the evidence submitted, the arresting officer is not listed as a witness, which would also be a breach of my client's civil rights under Section 4 of a fair trial, as they would not be able to cross-examine the arresting officer in court under oath for the reasons for his breach of the Civil Rights Act, and would go to the bounds of the Penal Code 1701 for the grounds of arrest. Lastly, the confusion in the statements of apparently the singular statement in evidence is being attributed to multiple officers, with multiple accounts being in the first person with the use of I and my language, in leading to a further breach of a right to a fair trial, as each there's a statement cannot be attributed to a singular officer. Thank you for hearing this motion today.
Thank you very much. Prosecution, do you have a counter argument?
Oh, you bet you would do.
Right, Your Honor, could you list the points one by one from Mr. Stroker's argument for the motion dismissed, please?
Yep, stand by.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, I was on the stand, I
Fact
couldn't
one,
answer.
lack of evidence of any charges listed.
All evidence has been listed in the statement. You're more than welcome to read them.
Evidence being.
Evidence being, firstly, I've implied in there the amount of lawful orders I presented Miss Zane with. Mr. Stroker seems to believe that freedom of speech gives her the ability to not comply with lawful order. That strictly isn't the case. She was stopped and detained under suspicion of throwing Molotovs at LFB workers outside the front of MRPD, which in this case, if she wasn't guilty of that, she should have stopped and spoken to us. Yes, she has the right to refuse, but she doesn't have the right to refuse detainment.
Point number 2, statement of evidence is written in first person but accredited to multiple officers.
Your Honour, my name is stated first as the primary arresting officer. It is strictly Stephen Peckham's name is after there, as he is just co-signing the statement.
Number 3, use of wanting to talk to an officer as a grounds of arrest.
That's not true. As stated previously, the grounds for detainment to begin with was the LFB report that someone was throwing Molotovs outside the front of MRPD station. Ms. Zane was the only person present, therefore she was detained at the time, so I could investigate the matter. However, once she refused to comply with me, under suspicion that she was throwing Molotovs outside the front of PD, she was given multiple lawful orders to stop. However, she chose not to, therefore she was placed in cuffs for disobeying a lawful command.
And finally, it is going to be prosecution witness list is lacking an arrest officer.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that to Mr. Callum McKendrick because I don't have any idea what that means.
Hey, that's because Mr. Barrett is joining the prosecution team.
As well as being a witness.
Yes, Your Honour.
Right. Now, you may take a seat. Mr. Stroker. We're going to review
Yeah, sure.
the evidence in which you've submitted, and then we'll review the evidence in which Ms. Kendrick has submitted. You have an LFB report.
Yes, Your Honour.
What is your intention to gain with this report?
This is the LFB officer that was investigating the crimes that allegedly Mrs. Zane had, is being charged with here, or was arrested under.
I believe Miss Zane was detained, not arrested for these charges. The charges she faces has nothing to do with the fire itself.
That's correct, Your Honour.
However, with the evidence in itself, with the evidence in itself is that the fire officer, being the lead investigator of that, is also the officer that made the original radio call.
Your Honour, objection on relevance. The LFB call is irrelevant. The reason for detainment is valid, as I'm an officer of the law. If I suspect someone to commit a crime, I can detain them. However, this is completely irrelevant. The detainment was legal, so the fact of the matter, if she did or did not do the crime, was there to be investigated under detainment. Ms. Zane refused detainment, therefore receiving lawful orders, which now constitutes her arrest for refusing to comply with the lawful order.
We have a witness that placed the 999 call. The 999 doesn't specifically say any area. What was the reasoning that the PD had to go to Mission Row instead of LFB?
Are you asking me that, Your Honour?
Yeah, sorry.
So
sorry,
it was a
Stroker.
radio comm that came from PD main. I don't recall the LFB worker. I wasn't looking at my radio at the time to see who was talking. However, the communication that myself and one of my witnesses that I'll call later believed we heard, and under the impression we heard, was there's a person outside the front of LPD throwing Molotovs.
Right. Okay, I'm satisfied that the arrest itself is lawful and that they had reasonable grounds to stop and search her. In terms of your freedom of speech, you're correct in saying she has the right to say what she wishes within the bounds of the law. But as Mr. Sonny Barrett has quite rightly said, he has reasonable suspicion to stop and search her under Section 1. She's then refused and denied detainment, which is then why he's used Section 7, which is the reasonable use of force. I'm unsure what force was used, Mr. Barrett.
So it was strictly a tackle to stop her walking around in circles for the 10 minutes I was following her.
Okay, I'm satisfied that's not.
Your Honour, can I just rebuttal that?
Yeah.
So the statement in evidence, he said that he tried to talk, but he doesn't list of what he talked about would be a stop and account, not a stop and search procedure.
Yeah, Your Honour, objection on that. I never stated once it was a stop and search, nor did I ever search Miss Zane, apart from when she was in our custody.
Henceforth,
So
stop and
if
account.
you-
Your Honour, regardless, Miss Zane refused to follow lawful orders to stop, whether it's stop and account or stop and search. The key phrase is stop.
Yeah. Section 11.
To which
is
freedom of
stopping a
speech would classify as saying I don't have to talk to you.
You have to
freedom
follow
of speech
lawful
within
orders.
the bounds of the law, Mr. Stroker. You seem to miss the fact that within the bounds of the law is part of that statement.
Yes, but if you read the Police Powers Act for Section 10, it states he has to tell the individual and be transparent with the reasons for the stop, which is not mitigated in
Perhaps if
evidence.
Your Honour, perhaps if Miss Zane had actually cooperated with the police, that conversation would have been had instead of walking away from them continually. And again, I'll gladly debate this at trial.
Yeah, we're here to discuss whether this goes to trial or not. In terms of evidence that you've submitted, Mr. Stroker, I'm happy that your evidence, other than Mr. Huck's statement, which we've discussed, can be used. Mr. McKendrick, can you approach the stand, please? Ms. McKendrick, the evidence
I was
which
on
you
the
wish to
radio.
present at trial.
Doesn't matter.
He could see I was physically on the
we'll
radio.
talk about that later.
The MDT statement and the witnesses, Your Honour.
What about the witnesses that weren't there? Half
Right,
of them witnesses weren't there.
So you have a witness list of Marshall, Peckham, Owens, and I'm assuming
None of them
Mr.
were there.
Barrett
That's the thing,
as part
Richard.
of prosecution.
Richard, none of them were
I'm
there. It was
confused
just
as
him
to
and
where
his
Let me
car.
listen,
Owens
let me
come into
listen.
this.
I can happily answer that for you, sir.
Mr. Barrett.
Mr. Marshall was actually, as I was in the middle of it, I'd say approximately 2 minutes in, he had walked out the front of MRPD station where this was taking place in an active road. He had witnessed me give the lawful orders multiple times, along with the
No, he didn't. He got into his car.
lack of cooperation from Mrs. A. Mr. Peckham was alongside
That's
me.
a liar. That's lies.
At the time when I was dealing with
Doesn't
Mrs. A
matter,
the
let
entirety of the
them
way through,
talk.
so we can account for any actions of mine. Mr. Owens was present during when she was being read her charges in cells, and he offered her food and water multiple times, having many interactions with Miss Zane.
Why is this not stated on the MDT along with his involvement?
Because I've just done it from the perspective of the arresting officer, sir.
If you did everything from the perspective of arresting officer, everything would be dropped before trial, Mr. Barrett.
McKendrick.
Mr. McKendrick, can you please outline your attempts or goals within questioning of Mr. Owens and Mr. Marshall?
To establish the frame of mind of Miss Zane within the cells if she was shouting, etc. Mr. Marshall will be from outside and Mr. Owens will be from inside the cells.
Objection to that, Your Honour. That has no relevance on the actual case in itself.
Mr.
Your Honour,
McKendrick,
it has every relevance.
I
If
understand the
Mr. Marshall,
relevance, Mr. McKendrick. However, if we're wishing to use these two as individuals as witnesses on the trial, they should have been placed on the MDT prior. And statements given.
All right, objection on that. We've had trials before where people have been called as witnesses and not been placed on the MDT.
Their statement has not been relevant. The questioning is the pertinent into terms of questioning whilst they're on the stand. If they're there as a medical or police professional to give a outside view, not a statement, then that's fine. The actual actions themselves within the incident, and I suggest that you put their statements and involvements within the MDT prior to taking it to trial. Mr.
Yeah,
Marsh and Mr. Owens will not be used as witnesses within the trial. Mr. Barrett and Mr. Peckham will be the only witnesses you can bring, Mr. Kendrick.
Okay.
Motion to dismiss is denied. Evidence has been outlined. We shall move to trial.
Am I allowed to be witness? Who are our witnesses?
It's all sorted, our witnesses.
Right, we're going to be calling the case of Miss Grace Zane versus Alice
Can I
Met, or
be-
should I say Alice Met
Can I
versus
be
Miss Grace Zane.
No.
witness, please?
Prosecution,
we'll
please
see
step
what
forward
happens.
with your opening statement and any evidence you
I
wish
want to go up on the
submit.
stand.
Right, we'll see what happens in the talk.
yes,
of it.
Your Honour. Thank you. We're here today to present evidence of the defendant, Miss Grace Zane, violating law through her actions on the 23rd of December 2024 outside of the Mission Row Police Department. The prosecution will prove that Miss Zane knowingly and willfully committed the offences of resisting arrest, disobeying a peace officer, and impersonating a public servant. The evidence
didn't.
will show that officers responded to a report
Richard,
of
I
someone
didn't.
throwing Molotov cocktails outside of MRPD.
Richard,
Upon the arrival, the only person
how can I
present was
impersonate
Miss
something
Zane.
I'm hired on? What the
Your Honour, if you
Be
could ask
quiet.
Miss Zane to be quiet, that would be gratefully appreciated.
Miss Zane, we've had many conversations in the past about your professionalism and your ability to remain quiet whilst you're not in court, or whilst you're in court and giving statements. If you're not speaking on the stand, Miss Zane, I would suggest you keep quiet.
Sorry, Aubergine.
Sorry. Proceed.
Excuse me.
Thank you, Your Honour. Upon the arrival, the only person present was Miss Zane. When officers approached her to inquire about the situation, she defied lawful orders, walking in circles and shouting, "I don't have to listen to you." Despite being ordered to stop multiple times, she actively resisted detainment and continued escalating the situation. Moreover, during the incident, multiple individuals approached the officers claiming Miss Zane was their lawyer. However, Miss Zane was in fact a paralegal at the time and not legally permitted to act as an independent legal representative. Her failure to correct the false perception amounted to impersonation, further undermining the credibility of the legal profession and the authority of law enforcement. The prosecution will present testimony now from Mr. Stephen Peckham and Sonny Barrett, as well as evidence in the form of the MDT to demonstrate that Miss Zane deliberately disobeyed lawful orders, resisted arrest, and falsely represented herself as a lawyer. This court must hold Miss Zane accountable for her actions. The charges of Penal Code 1607, resisting arrest, 1701, disobeying a peace officer, and Penal Code 1406, impersonating a public servant, are supported by clear evidence, and we will prove her guilt beyond any reasonable doubt. Thank you, Your Honour.
Thank you very much, Ms. McHenrick. Mr. Stroker, you may approach your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honour. Today is a simple case of a lack of police communication and the police going out of the scope of the Police Powers Act by using it to breach my client's civil rights. You will hear evidence today from police officers and LFB, which will prove my client has been unlawfully arrested and charged by Officer Barrett, going against the Police Powers Act and Civil Rights Act. I hope you will find my client as an upstanding government-employed paralegal and business owner, not guilty of all charges, and subsequently the LSMS liable.
Miss, whoever's in the back giving the wanker sign, if you don't stop that, you'll be held contempt of court. Continually, anyone else that's speaking in the public gallery, you'll be removed and held in contempt as well. Gentleman in the puffer jacket, if you don't remove yourself from the court, you will be arrested and held in contempt.
Sorry, Your Majesty, just thought she was a wank.
Right, Miss Avani, you're going to be held in contempt as well if you don't leave the court.
Unlucky.
Throw that shoe and you'll be arrested with contempt of court. Someone place her under arrest, please.
What you on about?
Your Honour, could we also add assault to that because the shoe did hit my client?
Yes, she'll be placed for assault. Right, apologies for that. Thank you very much for your opening statements. Prosecution, you may proceed with any evidence and witness testimony that you wish to bring forward.
Thank you, Your Honour. We'll call Superintendent Stephen Peckham to the stand, please.
Mr. Peckham, if you could repeat after me, please. I do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare
I do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare
that the evidence I shall give
that the evidence I shall give
shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peckham.
Your Honour,
you may proceed.
before he starts questioning, can we object to the arresting officer being co-counsel? This would go against my client's right to a fair trial, as he is also a superior officer in this case.
I'm
You're
happy
not-
for. Sorry. I'm happy for Mr. McHenrick to question Mr. Peckham if that's the issue that you have.
Yes, Your Honour.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. May you
Your Honour, may I just have a quick discussion with Mr. Kendrick quickly?
Yep.
Gonna knock it out of the park.
Case
Got it.
this, Saito.
Got you.
Hmm?
He's got.
Thank you, Your
He's
Honour.
got the fever.
The heart.
Mr. Peckham, can you please outline your rank within Ellis Met?
I'm a superintendent, sir.
That's my guy.
Thank you. And how would you describe your professional relationship between employees at the Ellis
Sorry,
Met?
court is going to be at recess while Miss Ivani is going to be placed under arrest. Further to that, Miss Ivani will be banned from the courtroom. Can we also have the gentleman in the black puffer coat removed as well? He was told to leave.
The helmet. Pull out.
Owens, can you assist with that? Owens, you okay?
These guys. Move.
It's one of those, isn't it? It's just what happens.
Can we lock the doors? This is no longer a public trial. Anyone in the public gallery is welcome to stay unless they are Miss Ivani Hay or the gentleman in the black.
Sorry, Your Honour. Sorry to intrude. Did you say contempt of court? Yes.
Contempt of court and 2 times assault.
Well, the silly bitch deserved it.
Right, that's the second attempt at contempt. of
Yeah,
court.
Grace.
Jesus.
And that'll be threats of violence, I guess.
for the
Apologies,
hydrate.
everybody. I'm just going to make this very clear. The court is not somewhere to be messing around. If you continue to mess around, you will be removed and arrested. Mr. Hay. Sorry.
Lucio, take a
apologies.
seat,
We
please.
make it to
Let's sit down.
McHenrick, me.
Thank you, Your Honour. How would you describe your professional relationship between employees at Ellis Met?
Strictly professional, sir. I do not consider any of my colleagues my friends.
Okay, and how would you describe the conduct of Chief Superintendent Barrett?
Objection, Your Honour. Relevance.
What's the relevance to this, Mr. McHenrick?
I'm simply quoting the conduct of the arresting officer, Your Honour.
Mr. Stroker, what's the unirrelevance of this?
Because he's asking for a definitive definitive answer to his overall accountability, not just of the case.
What I'm assuming Mr. McHenrick is
I'm asking his
approaching to
opinion.
achieve here, Mr. McHenrick is approaching to achieve here is whether Mr. Barrett is a officer within the confines of the law, which would be highly relevant to this case, considering you're telling me that Mr. Barrett is not acting within the law. I'm going to overrule it, Mr. McHenrick. you may continue.
Mr. Peckham, would you like me to repeat the question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Of course I can. How would you describe the conduct of Chief Superintendent Barrett?
Well, you know, he's very fair. He's very professional. I've never had any doubts about how he operates with his, you know, as an officer.
Thank you. And can you describe the events that occurred in relation to the Grace Zane arrest?
Yes, I can. So, for starters, we had a radio come through from an LFB officer stating that someone was throwing Molotovs outside of MRPD. Myself and Barrett, we then obviously made towards the call. And upon our arrival, there was only one female standing outside, which would have been Miss Grace Zane. We then made an attempt to speak to her, you know, just to stop and just, you know, see kind of what happened to attain her story. She immediately was uncooperative, you know, walking around in circles, being a bit of a nuisance. She then started saying she didn't have to speak to us, and then she was informed that she was currently being detained. And upon, obviously, Barrett letting her know that she was being detained, she then proceeded to run around in circles, screaming, shouting, and then Barrett, obviously, had to repeat himself another 7 times, totaling 8 times. And after, obviously, walking around in circles for what was about 10 minutes of just Ms. Grain being uncooperative, she was then tackled, placed in cuffs, and took through the reception at MRPD into the cells, to where we had 3 individuals ID Miss Zane as their lawyer. I then had to turn around to the 3 individuals and inform them of the situation, and they were then turned away and left. Once we had Mrs. Zane in the cells, she was being very verbally abusive towards every officer in there, proceeding to call us a piss take, shout at us, and undermine our ability to be a police officer. That is all.
Thank you, Mr. Peckham. During the incident, it stated multiple individuals claimed Miss Zane was a lawyer. How did you respond to this?
I simply stated to them that Miss Zane would not be able to represent you at this moment in time due to being placed into police custody. I then informed the clients that they will have to get in contact with her via phone after the situation has been dealt with. They then safely left, and that was that.
Thank you. And were you aware of Miss Zane's qualification and job role at the time of the incident?
Yes, I was very aware of Miss Zane's qualifications and job, that she was a paralegal, and I am aware that paralegals cannot represent someone single-handedly without the presence of a lawyer. I brought this up with obviously Barrett, and then we then took it further.
Thank you, Mr. Peckham. Thank you, Your Honour. No further questions.
Thank you very much. Defence, you may cross-examine.
Richard.
Sorry, Ron, I was having a muscle issue. Apologies, just looking over my notes. Under which section is a stop and question?
I believe you've just been assaulted, mate, by a shoe.
Right, I'm sorry, but Mr. Ramirez, if you continue to be like that, you're just going to be refused entry to the court at any moment in time. Don't approach the bench.
Oh, sorry,
Mr.
I thought you were
Ramirez.
speaking. Sorry.
Someone remove Mr. Ramirez from the courtroom. Thank you. Please continue, Mr. Stroker.
Thank you, Your Honour. Under what section of the Police Powers Act is a stop and account?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm having a bit of trouble hearing.
Under what section of the Police Powers Act is a stop and account?
Objection. What is the relevance this, Your Honour? I'm not being funny. He wasn't the person.
Mr. Barrett, you've been denied your co-counsel.
Okay,
if you
very
want
well.
to object, then you ask Mr. McKendrick.
Yeah, objection, Your Honour. Mr. Peckham didn't arrest Miss Zane.
He was involved, and he's a noted witness. I'm assuming that he's trying to gain the answer of which a police officer should know, really. Overruled, Mr.
Your Honour, can I approach the bench quickly?
No.
I need to inform you about the medical necessity of Stephen Peckham.
Medical necessity?
Yes.
And what relevance does that have right now?
Just his ability to answer the questions from Mr. Stroker that, ask him to really use his ability right now.
Mr. Peckham, are you okay there?
Your Honour, he had a fall a couple days ago. He's just been the same since.
Your Honour, this is basically sounding like he's trying to claim that his own witness for his side is not medically relevant to actually testify in a court.
I'm
just going to strictly
Mr.
say that.
Barrett, you're not being asked to speak in the court at the minute, Mr. Barrett. Your conduct is highly pertinent in this situation, considering you are the arresting officer of Miss Zane and your conduct is currently in question. Please refrain in court. Mr. Peckham is going to be stepping down from the stand, and I don't think he is medically fit to continue. Mr. Peckham, someone help Mr. Peckham off the stand, please.
Does that mean any of his testimony is stricken from the record as well, Your Honour?
His testimony, yes.
Thank you, Your Honour.
Mr. Mechanic, do you have any further witnesses to bring to the stand?
Yes, Your Honour, I'll bring Chief Superintendent Sonny Barrett.
Mr. Barrett, you may approach the stand. Please refrain from outbursts in the future.
Please rip into him.
Look, you got your fidget toy. You're gonna be okay.
Mr. Barrett, if you could repeat after me, please. I do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare.
I do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare.
That the evidence I shall give.
That the evidence I shall give.
Shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You may proceed, Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Your Honour. Thank you, Chief Superintendent. What was your first observation upon arriving at MRPD?
That there was a single lady, as in one person, being Miss Grace Zane, stood outside the front of MRPD. She was actually positioned across the road, so she was the first thing I saw when arriving on scene.
Object to that, 'cause they
Thank
were
you.
testing
And
me
when you
outside the
approached Miss
MRPD.
Zane, what did you say to her?
Well, the
Just
first
let
thing I
them
said
talk.
was to Miss
I'll object
Peckham,
when it needs to
Mr.
be.
Peckham, and I said,
Okay.
well, she's the only person out here. Let's chat to
'Cause,
her.
it
So I
wasn't
pulled my car
outside,
over. I actually parked my
outside
vehicle in
MRPD,
the parking
like
bay.
outside.
The first thing I said to her, I said,
I
"Excuse
can't
me."
hear them.
She said, and I quote, "I don't have to speak to you." I said, "Excuse me, can you stop, please?" She said, "I don't have to speak to you." I could go on, but it did occur roughly, I believe, 12 times.
Thank you. In your professional opinion, was it clear to Miss Zane that those were lawful orders?
No, not the first ones. They were just trying to have a conversation with her. But then after the 12 times, I obviously got quite frustrated. And actually, I felt, this could be a guilty person in front of me potentially, refusing to cooperate with the law. So at that point, I started issuing lawful orders for it to stop.
Thank you. And did Miss Zane's refusal to comply escalate the situation?
It did in its entirety, yeah. Firstly, I'd actually just been to LSMS. I've got asthma, so walking around in circles is very straining on myself. But not only that, Miss Zane, she ran around in
Objection.
circles for
Medical
10
records
minutes.
aren't in evidence of him having asthma.
Just a statement.
It's
What's the relevance to the asthma?
Then it was quite straining on me to walk around in circles for 10 minutes.
Right. And do you chase people often, Mr. Barrett?
Yeah, every single day.
And do they usually walk whilst they're running away from you?
Walking while running isn't possible, Your Honor.
Do they walk while they're trying to evade you?
Yes.
And do they run whilst they try and evade you?
Yes.
What's more straining, walking or running, Mr. Barrett?
It tends to be running.
Right. And do you catch criminals often?
As much as I can.
So what relevance is the walking away from you straining you in asthma?
I'm just simply giving a statement, Your Honor. If you don't want me to give a statement, I won't.
I don't think the asthma has any relevance, but you may continue, Mr. McHenry.
Sorry, can you repeat the question before I was interrupted?
Yes. Did Miss Zane's refusal to comply escalate the situation?
Yeah, in its entirety. A simple stop and communicate with the police, especially two high-ranking members of the LSMET trusted by a lot of the public. Simply we wouldn't have to escalate and place Miss Zane in cuffs for disobeying a lawful order.
I didn't know he was wrong.
And how did Miss Zane's resistance affect the ability of you and other officers to manage the scene?
Well, to begin with, we couldn't do a thorough investigation due to a lack of compliance. We would have firstly just ascertained what Miss Zane was doing out there, but she decided to obviously, like you said previously, escalate the situation. So it made our job very difficult, especially when we got run after by multiple people saying that she was their lawyer. Yeah, very difficult to manage situation, but I did manage.
Thank you. And coming on to that last point, multiple individuals obviously stated that Miss Zane was their lawyer at this time. What was your response to these claims?
Yes, so I think my colleague actually handled this from communications I've had with him. He simply stated to them that she's not going to be able to represent you at this moment in time, but she will give you a phone as soon as she's out of custody.
Did Miss Zane at any point correct these individuals or clarify her professional status?
No, actually, she didn't actually get to speak to them because she was taken off in cuffs after her failing to comply with a lawful order. Apologies.
Thank you. Did Miss Zane's actions disrupt law enforcement operations or create additional challenges during the incident?
In its entirety, yeah. Firstly, we couldn't conduct a simple investigation into the situation. It was very thorough. I had to get the LSJ involved, including Angus here. He had to come down to the cells once he had found out one of his paralegals was in custody after I'd informed him. So yeah, it definitely made the investigation a lot more difficult.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. McHenry. Mr. Stroker, you may cross-examine.
Thank you, Your Honour. First question was the same question that I asked your other officer. What is the stop and account section of the Police Powers Act?
Oh, God, brain fog. Oh, God. I can't answer that right now. Sorry, I'm trying to quit smoking. Got a bit of brain fog.
Answer the question, please, Mr. Barrett.
I can't answer the question as just previously
Your Honour,
stated.
someone's just
I
thrown
have
a shoe
brain
at me.
fog due to a lot trying to quit
Sorry,
nicotine.
Sorry,
we'll
Your Honour,
take
it's
a hold on
Salvador.
session.
It's
The
Salvador.
three gentlemen on the oh no, it's Mr. Salvador Ramirez leaving the top of the balcony. Can we just remove him from court, please? Mr. Ramirez, if you throw that shoe, right? Okay.
Don't remember me, you boring bastard.
Let me think really hard, Your Honour. Oh, Christ. Section 11. Oh, there it is. Just came to me. Sorry, Mr. Stroker, I apologise. I'm trying to quit smoking and obviously the nicotine.
You sorry. Can we just hold a recess in court
Yeah,
for a
I'm okay.
second? Court is not a place to be messing around. If you're going to continue to do so, and that includes the officers, then you'll all just be removed.
I want to make this court clear. I've just been shot for no reason.
I witnessed it. Mr. Saito, or whoever that was that just fired that beanbag.
What the fuck?
What is going on?
I ain't done nothing.
McBlains, did you not just ask for the three gentlemen upstairs to be removed, no?
No, I asked him to stop pissing about.
that's my
Mr. Ramirez was the one that threw the shoe. He's the one that needs to be removed, but I believe he's gone now.
All right, well, we're sorry, Your Honor. We'll be quiet.
Right. Apologies. Continue, Mr. Stroke.
Thank you, Your Honour.
Could you repeat the question, please?
You already answered the question that I asked then. So
I wasn't finished speaking, so I didn't actually finish answering the question.
under what section of the Police Powers Act is stop and
Section 11 of
account?
the Police Powers Act.
Okay, and what does that detail?
That's stop and account, sir.
Was this the Police Powers Act you used to stop my Miss Zane?
She didn't give me time to actually speak to her, Mr. Stroker. Like I said, she ran around in circles for 10 minutes.
What was the phrasing that Miss Zane used towards you?
I don't have to speak to you.
Okay.
She repeated that numerous times.
Okay. Did you make any effort to identify yourself as an officer and the situation involved?
So it usually gives it away when I'm wearing a police vest that says police. She knows it's me. She's had multiple interactions with me before. I couldn't actually say anything to her apart from stop and, stop. Miss Zane, stop. Miss Zane, stop. And then also she stated I don't have to comply with police. So there we go. I wasn't given the opportunity, Mr. Stroker.
Okay. What was the lawful order you shouted multiple times?
Miss Zane, stop. This is a lawful order. You're going to be detained.
Apologies, Ron, I'm just looking through my notes. I have no further questions, Your Honour.
Thank you very much. You may be arrested. Mr. Barrett, you may take a seat. Mr. McCarrick, do you have any further witnesses to bring to the stand?
Negative, Your Honour.
Thank you. Mr. Stroker, do you have any witnesses that you wish to bring to the stand?
Yes, Your Honour. We have the LFB officer on scene.
Objection, Your Honour. This has no relevance to this case at all.
We've talked about the witnesses in the pre-dietary hearing, and I allowed the witnesses to go forth. Mr. Stroker, I will make this very clear that the questioning and the evidence in which you wish to submit here are to be relevant to the arrest and the arrest only.
Yes, Your Honour.
Right. What's the name of the LFB?
Daniel Jota.
Mr. Jota, you may take the stands.
I would like to be a witness.
Mr. Jota, if you could repeat after me. I do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare
I do solemnly and sincerely truly declare
the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, nothing but the truth, and the full truth.
Thank you. Mr. Stroke, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honour. Are you the LFB worker that made the radio call?
I am indeed, yeah.
What did you describe in that call?
I'm pretty sure it was LFB to PD Molotovs being thrown at LFB. Which,
Your Honour, this isn't relevant to the arrest.
What's the relevance to the arrest of this, Mr. Stroker?
It's highly relevant to the arrest because it would mean Mr. Sonny Barrett was trying to arrest my client on incorrect grounds.
Your Honour, she wasn't arrested for throwing Molotov cocktails.
This
is just a charade by the defence to throw the case in a different direction. Miss Zane refused to comply with lawful orders. That is why we were here, and that is why she was arrested. Not about the Molotov cocktails anymore. That's a different direction altogether.
Mr. Stroker, you are aware that the charges of arson are not on Miss.
I am
Zane's
aware, Your Honour. Can I
charge
rebut
sheet.
to his
Yes.
statement? It is highly relevant as to which, if he is working on misinformation to stop someone, then that would make the order not lawful.
The order, in my sort of view, and what I'm understanding here, is that there's a miscommunication between LFB putting through the call and PD receiving the call, and somewhere in between LFB and MRPD have been mixed up. So the officers are acting on the information they know. Or they've been given, sorry. So their orders are not unlawful. Maybe the information has been muddled somewhere, but they're acting on orders they were given by the dispatch or whoever it was.
As previously stated, it was over the PD main radio, so it wasn't by a dispatcher.
Well, Mr. Stroker's just proven the point, Your Honour. We wouldn't have a GPS from a 999 call.
Mr. Stroker, any further questions for Mr. Jota will be to do with Miss Zane's arrest and not with the incident in which the officers were sent there. Please continue.
I have no further questions, Your Honour.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Jota, you'll need to stay whilst prosecution cross-examines.
It's okay, Your Honour. I have no questions.
No worries. Mr. Jota, you may be arrested. Do you have any further witnesses, Mr. Stroker?
If Mr. Tim Hawke is available?
He's at a wedding.
Mr. Hawke, his statement we discussed in pre-dietary hearing was not going to be allowed.
That's why I was asking if he was available here now for...
He's at a wedding.
Mr. Hawke's not here, I don't think. Any other witnesses?
Mr. John Nutt Jr.
Is Mr. John Nutt Jr. available?
Seriously?
It doesn't look like he's here. Any other further witnesses?
No, Your Honour. Oh, I'm sorry,
Just me.
my client.
Yes, Miss Zane, if you could take the stands. Miss Zane, if you could repeat after me, please. I do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare
I solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare
that the evidence I shall give
that the evidence I shall give
shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Mr. Stroke, you may proceed.
Can you tell the court where you were when Officer Barrett approached you?
Outside the wall of MRPD.
What were you doing at this time?
Actually, I was waiting to speak to an officer at the time.
Did Officer Barrett try to communicate with you?
All he kept saying was, "Ma'am, ma'am, ma'am."
So did he directly ask you to stop?
He did not know.
Did he identify himself as a police officer?
He did not know.
Did he identify any relevance to the reasons for stopping you?
He did not know.
What happened after that?
After that, he then tackled me. Obviously, I did, and I will admit, I said, I do not have to talk to you. Obviously, I was talking over the radio at the time to my manager of my business. And he then tackled me and placed me in cuffs when a few individuals came up admitting that I was their lawyer, which before I got demoted to a paralegal, I was their lawyer. So I haven't had a chance to catch up to them to say I could not represent them, because I was due to have a meeting with them to explain to them I was no longer going to be their lawyer. But then Mr. Barrett also placed me in cuffs, so I didn't have a chance to also tell those individuals what I was going to tell them in the meeting.
After your arrest, how long was it until the police allowed you a lawyer?
About 15 to 20 minutes.
How many times did you ask for a lawyer?
5 times.
When your lawyer did eventually arrive, did the police try and listen into your conversations?
Indeed, they did.
Objection relevance. That's.
What's the relevance to this, Mr. Stoker?
It's going against attorney-client privilege, and it would be against my client for a right to a fair trial.
Why was this not brought up in the pre-dietary hearing, Mr. Stoker?
It was in the motion. Was it not?
Mr. Stoker, it was not. Your unfair trial was the fact that Mr. Barrett was prosecution.
And regardless, Your Honour, if it was in the motion, you've already dismissed that motion.
I understand that, but this is the first time I'm hearing that she was denied a lawyer, which is her legal right.
I was denied a lawyer 5 times, Your Honour.
Mr. Stoker, you've had your chance to put this forward as against the civil rights or whatever, but this should have been brought up prior to this. I'm going to overrule. I'm going to sustain the objection. Next question.
During your arrest, did the police do anything else unsavoury?
Yes, Mr. Sonny Barrett pulled a that bean gone orange thing on me while I was in the cells.
And which officer put the ankle monitor onto you?
Mrs. Ellie Space.
Your Honour, apparently Miss Ellie Space put the... this is an objection because obviously Miss Ellie Space has put the thing on her. Why was she not in the MDT about this?
Mr. Stoker, the person who put the tag on is not really relevant to the arrest itself.
But it's relevant to the whole MDT system and the clarity between evidence collection.
Your Honour, you know as well as I do that it's DICE officers that have to put the tags on.
I think the question Mr. Stoker's asking is why she's not an involvement. As
She-
little as it was.
Because they literally just go in and tag them and leave. They have nothing to do with the arrest.
It's not the arrest
Actually,
itself.
she was there in the
Miss Zane, the arrest itself is not the only reason an MDT is created. An MDT is created to document any evidence statements from people involved. That's why the involvement section is there. It seems to me as this entire case is a misuse of the MDT and it's only there for a case of arrest. To further that, have you just objected to your own question, Mr. Stoker?
No, I was objecting to why it's not in evidence. I was objecting to the lack of evidence.
So you've asked a question knowing you're going to get an answer to then object to it.
Oh.
Salvador, honestly,
I was as bail conditions are normally meant to be listed as well. That was the whole thing of there's no evidence for the MDT.
I agree, Mr. Stroker. There will be an internal investigation in terms of the documentation and the evidence collected from PD. However, we're here to discuss the actual doings of Miss Zane. Can we continue with the questions, please?
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honour.
Thank you very much. Prosecution, you may cross-examine.
Thank you, Your Honour. Miss Zane, can you describe your actions and behaviours outside of MRPD on the 23rd of December 2020?
Objection, Your Honour. Asked and answered.
Yes. Sustained. Next question.
Why did you choose to walk in circles and refuse to comply with directives?
Mr. Sonny Barrett did not identify himself, did not give me lawful orders at the time while I was talking over the radio to my manager of the UWU. As I do, I walk around in circles while on the radio. It's something I've always done. It's something that keeps me alert. So if anyone was to ever try and attack me, I'm moving so they can't judge where I'm going.
Miss Zane, you have been aware for quite some time, haven't you, that Mr. Sonny Barrett is a chief superintendent of the police force?
Objection, Your Honour. Relevance.
The relevance.
The relevance is she said she didn't know he was a police officer.
I was not aware of his rank, no.
But you knew he was a police officer?
I did not at the time, no.
Objection, badgering, asked and answered.
Yeah, Mr. McKendrick, please wait for my my ruling on
An objection, perjury.
Excuse me, Mr. Barrett?
Sorry, I was coughing.
Right. Mr. McKendrick, as you being a DA, I'd like you to please tell your officers the conduct that is expected within the courtroom and to refrain from outbursts such as what Mr. Barrett has just done. On Mr. Stroker's objection, going to sustain it. Ms. Zane, unless you're questioned by a member of prosecution or defence, please do not speak. Mr. McKendrick, you may continue.
Yes.
Were you aware that disobeying a lawful order from a peace officer is a criminal offence?
Actually, I was not aware, no.
What do you mean?
Why did you resist being placed into custody?
I did not resist being placed into custody. As I have stated, I was talking over my radio when all I kept hearing while my head is down, because I walk with my head down, was ma'am, ma'am, ma'am from Mr. Sonny Barrett. At the time, I did not know it was him.
Were you aware that resisting arrest could escalate the situation and result in additional charges against yourself?
Again, I didn't resist the arrest, but yes, I was aware of that.
And do you believe your actions during the detainment process were appropriate?
Actually, I was very appropriate with Mr. Sonny Barrett. When he started giving me attitude was when I gave him attitude back.
And when you were in custody, how long did you not speak to the police officers for?
I actually was talking to the police officers quite fine. The only person I did not want to speak to was Sonny Barrett, due to him obviously calling me ma'am and then detaining me and never telling me why.
Thank you. As a paralegal, you're not legally allowed to act independently as a representative for clients. Were you aware of this?
Objection, Your Honour. It's compound.
Mr. McKendrick, please simplify the question.
Miss Zane, were you aware you weren't allowed to act independently when you were a paralegal?
As I was stated, I was aware. I was trying to arrange a meeting with the people to tell them that I was no longer going to be their lawyer. I did not have the chance because Mr. Barrett decided to arrest me.
And what date did you get demoted to paralegal?
Objection, Your Honour. Relevance.
It's highly relevant. I can even do that without asking Mr. McKendrick.
I can't remember the exact date, but unfortunately, I have been trying to contact those clients and they haven't been around quite a lot. And trying to get a meeting with them is quite hard as well.
Okay. Do you acknowledge that allowing others to believe you're a lawyer could be interpreted as misleading or impersonating a public servant?
Objection, Your Honour. This line of questioning itself is hearsay.
Your Honour, I'm simply asking if she acknowledges that allowing others to believe is misleading or impersonating.
Yeah, overruled. Continue, Mr. McKendrick.
I was aware, yes, but like I said, I've been trying to get around to all my clients to explain that I'm no longer going to be a lawyer for a while.
Okay, and do you believe your actions and words during the incident demonstrated a respect for law enforcement?
I respected them until the point they disrespected me.
Looking back on your actions, do you believe you've acted lawfully and appropriately during the incident?
Objection, Your Honour. Calling for the client to, I've forgotten the terminology for it, but cause an actual. I can't remember the word for it, but it's an objection. It's causing for them to make a definitive answer on the situation, which is your own job.
Your Honour, I'm asking to see if Miss Sane has any remorse for her actions.
Overruled. Continue.
The remorse I have was when I gave them disrespect, when they give me disrespect, as I don't like giving disrespect to people, but when people give me disrespect, I acted out of line and gave them disrespect back. I should have waited and reported it to their higher up.
Thank you, Your Honour. No further questions.
Thank you very much. Prosecution, you may rest. Mr. Zane, you can sit down.
Thank you, Judge.
Defense, do you have any further witnesses to bring to the stand?
No, Your Honour.
Okay, prosecution, you may approach with your closing statement and any further arguments you wish to provide.
Thank you, Your Honour. Your Honour, throughout this trial, the prosecution has presented evidence demonstrating that Miss Grace Zane violated the law on the 23rd of December 2024. Her actions outside Mission Row Police Department were reckless, defiant and unlawful. Firstly, Miss Zane repeatedly ignored lawful orders from police officers to stop and cooperate, despite being warned multiple times that she would be required to comply. Her refusal to obey constituted a clear violation of disobeying a police officer. Secondly, as officers attempted to detain her, Miss Zane actively resisted, escalating the situation further. Blatant defiance of law enforcement's lawful actions directly violates resisting arrest. Finally, and perhaps most egregiously, Miss Zane falsely allowed others to believe that she was a licensed lawyer, despite only being a paralegal and unable to represent clients independently. When individuals shouted, "She's my lawyer," Miss Zane failed to correct them on this information. Correct this misinformation, knowingly misleading the public and law enforcement constitutes a clear violation of impersonating a peace officer or public servant, as she has allowed others to perceive her legal qualification. The prosecution has provided consistent testimony from law enforcement from Stephen Peckham and Mr. Sonny Barrett.
Can you object that bit of him saying about
The defendant's actions disrupted the peace, undermined the rule of law, and deceived the public regarding her professional qualifications. The law is clear, and so is the evidence. Miss Zane's actions were deliberate, unlawful, and disrespectful to the authority of the law and the integrity of the legal profession. We urge this court to deliver a verdict of guilty on all charges. Thank you, Your Honour.
Thank you very much. Defense, you may approach for your closing statement and arguments.
Thank you, Your Honour. Today is much a statement of that officers have not followed their own Police Powers Acts, defied Miss Zane's right to free speech. Subsequently, it's he said, she said. Both at the time are listed as government employees. Needless to say, of lawyer or paralegal standings. That is a hearsay remark on another person's of another person, which would lead to the arrest, the detainment against a Freedom of Speech Act being unlawful, and therefore the stop and account section states that transparency and accountability in police interactions with the public must be maintained. With the officer stating ma'am, ma'am, ma'am multiple times, or this is a lawful order multiple times, is not transparent or taking accountability for a stop and account, as this situation involved is. Throughout this as well, Officer Barrett has been very dismissive towards my client and this case in a whole, and I will hope you would find my client, Miss Zane, not guilty on all charges.
That's a negative, mate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stroker. Court will be in recess whilst I deliberate. We will regain itself at 20:55.
Richard, can I say something? You know
How
how
long
you
they wanna wait
stated
for?
that I did
We're just
have
reaching the
chance-
final verdict.
You know how
Recess is
It doesn't
over.
matter, it's a hearsay that they've turned around and said it.
Yeah, no.
You're
I'm
not
saying Mr.
impersonating it because you've not said anything.
Somebody's coming up, so.
Mr. Barrett
No,
even
it's fine,
stated
I
that I
don't wanna go,
wasn't
it's
allowed
fine,
to
I'll
speak
stay
to
here.
them or give them any indication, correct? On his statement.
You also
when
have
he
a right
was
to
up on
remain
the
silent
stand.
if you're under arrest as well, but even so.
Yeah. What's that?
At the time, excuse me. When them people turned up saying that you were their lawyer, I turned
Yeah.
up at that point and I was there. So just so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at the moment. Does anyone have
No, you
food?
might not, but yeah.
You
let's
wanted to
just say
speak to me, remember? I can't call you by your other
Richard,
name, you
there's food
said?
in the fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you grab me
Right,
some
we'll
Richard,
go get
please?
some food.
Your sweaty hands, Rich.
Apologies, Your Honour, just getting food. Get 2. And I'll get 4 because then we've got 2 each.
What's happening?
But then
Someone
again,
trying to beef us?
My
They
friend
didn't state
already
anything.
had the food.
Can I have
but you
food and
provide
drink,
more
please?
of the substance. I most gratefully. Very generous.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you go.
Why start sightings? Why not work where I work? Okay.
So, what has been happening in case?
Thank you
will
for
not
pointing out his
understand
unprofessionalism
until I
while in the
review
court.
memory
I
banks.
appreciate that.
What's it doing, mate?
Yes, I understanding that.
Okay.
Everybody's general.
Because he was very unprofessional.
Good evening. I guess I'll just sit here.
What do you
Yeah.
feeling the way it's going so far?
Sure, anyway.
You don't have a clue. what
Can
the
I give
fuck
you
is
something
going
just in
on,
case
do
I do end up
you?
going to jail?
Yeah, I don't either.
Put the,
so
what's
yeah.
your unlucky number, Hayden?
Yes. I have to
Can
admit,
you
I
put
enjoy
that
my
back in your room
mind
for me?
palace and
How are we, Ravi? You okay?
it is Mr. Goddamn.
Thank you.
You do not call me Ravi. Let me make this abundantly clear right now. My name is Mr. Sin.
Was it good that I pointed out I tried to make meetings with the clients?
The
I was
only
no longer a
person who
lawyer?
calls me
You did
Ravi
what you did.
is my
That's
aunt
just-
who betrayed me for Mr. Nagasaki.
Mr. Sin, calm
my
your ass down.
Japanese, my arch nemesis. Do not tell me to calm down, you bastard, bloody bastard
Mr. Sin is
bitch.
going off.
The fuck?
Okay,
Shut
calm
your
down.
eyes up.
Good thing. I thought we were on a bit of a personal
For
level.
fuck's sake.
Oh, no, sorry, I just about the bus. I just wake up from
What
deep
happens if I win? Do the
meditation.
counter suit then goes in?
I'm sorry,
Oh, I think so.
Sarge.
How much are you going for?
I'll forgive you. Have you met my mate Hector Harrison?
Hector, like the Greek Trojan, not Greek,
Am I right in
sorry,
saying you're too scared to go near the police now?
Trojan
Yeah, I'm very scared to
warrior
go near the police.
So that means you can't do your job
Nope,
Homer's
exactly.
Odyssey.
without someone there.
Sure.
Because I don't know now if I'm
Yes,
going to be just
Hector,
falsely arrested
Prince
for anything.
of Troy, who got killed by Achilles.
Well, also with the stopping account, there's no
Which
accountability
one is
in the
it?
MDT, which
Which
is their
white
evidence
boy is
anyway.
it on?
Which is what they're trying
I
to pull
think I
across,
scared
isn't it?
them off. Yep.
Misuse of
Yes,
that MDT
yes.
doesn't matter. I could do a better job than I'm ever paid there.
Yes, I genuinely no, I not fall asleep. I enter my mind palace. Do you know what that is? So basically,
It's funny how they tried to put Peckham up there, even though Peckham's so-called got a brain injury. But it was funny how he could answer McKendrick's questions, but not yours.
No, because all of his answers are now no longer.
Yeah, no, but it's funny how he answered all McKendrick's, but then when it came to yours,
It is ever needed.
oh, by the way, Your Honour, he's got a medical condition.
Isn't it funny how he had the brain
Crack.
injury when
Oh,
he
well,
asked a question
I
he
was
didn't
going
know?
to say,
You
sure,
see,
if
Barrett,
you want to
Barrett
jump
did
to
not
crack.
know. He
Yeah, Barrett didn't know that's the thing. The PD don't know their own fucking sections.
Dimethyltryptamine, yes. Which
He
particular
did,
type
yeah, he did.
dimethyltryptamine?
He definitely got someone to
or
message it in.
others?
Number two.
Yes, number two. Hold on, the one you vaporized
I've got like a
through
piece of
crack
paper in
5
there with
years?
something
Yes,
that
yes,
stated
yes. Perhaps
cheat
Mr.
sheet
Singh
or
don't,
something like
perhaps Mr. Singh not don't.
It's
Can't
kind
say.
of interesting that criminals are
So
able to
they
start throwing
tried to
things to
get-
let him
Perhaps
have
Mr.
time to
Singh
answer.
don't have
Otherwise, it
any
would have been
time, you know?
non-responsive.
Yeah, but
I
it's
get
funny
the
how
impression
criminals
you
are
done many
here when they
times,
none of them
sir.
knew about the
I
case.
read about a sergeant and the policeman.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I don't know what dimethyltryptamine is either.
And also the fact that they tried to pull up
Sorry,
two
I
witnesses
just,
that weren't even
that
there.
was almost sexual assaulting upon you there.
Shall I put Marshall walked
I
out of
know my
MRPD
druggings,
and
don't
got in
I?
his car and drove away. So
You
no,
can
he did
tell I
not
was
witness
doctor.
any
I went
disobedience.
to Imperial College London.
Huh?
If you're found guilty of any of
medic.
this is.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah,
field
not right.
medic in
No, no.
Kashmiri insurgency.
What about this tag being put on
Field
tightly? Can we
doctor.
not go for Ellie Space for
Emergency,
that?
some of your bestest friends,
That will come up
family
in
even,
the countersuit.
with their limbs and arms flying around like spaghetti
Because we have our witness over there who
being
did
under the
medical on me.
control, the frying pan of the spaghetti
Matt
of a special
No, no.
child who is
He knows
had too much
if he'll be
caffeine.
needed for after.
What?
Negligence due to the tag.
Kashmiri region.
Can she turn around and be quieter when she talks?
Oh, you want me to give you the
Hey,
whole... All
Chris.
right, I give you the whole
Quiet
history.
it down.
all right.
Quiet it down.
Okay.
I'll tell you later. By the way, I do
Miss
have
Zane,
to
if you
go
could
and,
approach the stand.
I mean,
Miss Zane, after reviewing the evidence and testimonies provided, I find you on the following charges: Penal Code 1607, resisting arrest, guilty. Penal Code 1701, disobeying a peace officer, guilty. Penal Code 1406, impersonating a peace officer or public servant, guilty. Miss Zane, your actions, including your refusal.
I'm
to
sorry,
comply
but
with
no.
orders, regardless of whether you think they were not, is an active impersonating. Sorry, clearly constitutes the violations. Of
Oh
the
no,
penal code as outlined.
can I just say something?
Appropriate Miss Zane, I'm speaking. This is something that you've done on a regular and have been warned multiple times to stop doing. If you wish to talk over me, you'll just be held in contempt. I don't think you wish for another charge on your head. As I said, it clearly constitutes the violations of the penal code as which we have outlined. The appropriate sentencing will be as follows. Ms. Zane, you'll be sentenced to a verdict of guilty on all charges with a 30-month sentence and a £5,000 fine. You will also be stripped of your bar card.
Your Honour, can I please
you,
state
Your
that I
Honour.
never once impersonated being a lawyer? Not
Zane,
once did I do that.
You've had your chance on the stand. However, I will allow you this. Miss Zane, you've made very little to no effort to inform anyone that you were being
Yes, I have.
promoted as a lawyer to paralegal. multiple
Yes, I
people
have.
approached me on the come up to this to tell me that you were still representing yourself as
Miss
a lawyer.
Zane,
Just making a
Miss.
point.
She's on the road.
Someone detain her.
Hang on, where's this impersonation?
1-0, Rich. 1-0.
Mr. Barrett.
He's a fucking
word,
rat anyway.
please. Mr. Barrett, I need to speak to.
Yeah, Cadwell, can you ring me? Because I've got the ringing noise in my ear.
Yeah, hold on. I'll do you want me to ring you? Yeah.
Yeah, I've just said that, mate.
Sorry, I just can't fucking be. I don't actually have your number. Give me 2 minutes.
pretty sure you
Let me get.
Your Honour, can I approach the bench?
Yes, Mr. Stroker.
Penal Code 1406 doesn't actually state a definition of a peace officer or a public servant anywhere in the law books.
So the definition of a public
Your
servant
Honour.
or peace. Apologies. Yeah.
Sorry.
what the circle's
Just
on
so you're
there.
aware, I believe she may have got a set of your keys cut and used your keys to escape the courthouse.
I will remove her from DT just now.
Sorry, Angus, Your Honour.
Yeah.
We have to add resisting arrest on that as well, please. Times 2.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And escaping, Your Honour, is that? For the attempt to escape custody.
Apologies, Mr. Stroke. The definition of impersonating a peace officer or a public servant. Any person who willfully wears, exhibits, or uses the emblem of a peace officer or public servant, or wears a uniform intended to parody or duplicate an authorized uniform of a peace officer or public servant, and or any person who willfully and fraudulently introduces themselves and the belief that he or she is a peace officer or a public servant by attempting to perform the duties of a peace officer upon others.
Yeah, guys.
Boys, guilty. 30 months. 30 months loss of.
Yes,
answer your
however,
question?
peace officer and public servant are not defined as government employees defined in the law.
So, I mean, right, okay. Well, that we can discuss later.
And
but Mr.
also, it's
Stroke-
them introducing themselves, not a hearsay remark of someone else stating that.
I'm just.
they've-
I will admit, I'm glad we see the
Mr.
building down though.
Mr.
Like,
Stroker,
fuck
it
me.
was said multiple times in statements that she introduces as a lawyer.
When that was never said in any statements that she introduced herself as a lawyer at the time. It was someone else stating that she was a lawyer.
Yeah, I'll go grab
Mr. Stroker, the decision's been made, and we've discussed the reasoning why. I'm quite happy to discuss it right now. This being a peace officer is stop an account. She refused to stop. That's the first part of that.
Yes, but stop an account
as much
also
as stop an
clarifies
account
that they
is-
actually state why they're being stopped. When he didn't, shouting "ma'am" is
Mr.
not a stop
Stroker,
an
I'm
account.
fine with that. However, you have to understand that she gave them no opportunity to discuss that. She then refused and fled, or
Well, I can
walked away
understand
and
that.
continued to refuse to stop. The stop and
walking
account
around in a
part is that
circle is
they-
not
they've
fleeing.
asked her lawfully to
You
stop.
just got told.
After she has
fuck
stopped,
off.
Miss, hey, why are you back in my courtroom after disturbing it previously?
Because you're wasting my time in the cell, so I'm going to waste your time in
I'm
your
not
courtroom.
wasting anyone's time in the cells,
You-
Miss.
well, you am.
You've come in here throwing shoes and continuously
Well, she
disturbed the
deserved
peace
it.
within
She
the
had it
court.
bounced off her head. She deserved it.
Has she been charged for the charges I asked?
Nope.
No,
because
she needs to be
did it
charged by
else.
yourself, Your Honour, because of the,
Right, can we
the
hold
charge
her in the
amount doesn't
cells
have.
at a minute whilst I discuss this with Mr. Stroker?
Hey, fam, that's fine. Right, come on, Evanie, we're going back to
You're going back in cells, so
The whole
Yes, we
stop and
are.
account,
I'll stand
as
there.
much as it is a lawful order for her to stop, once she has stopped, she can ask to leave, and they don't have to stop. They can't detain her, but she has to stop first. And she made
Walking
no effort
around in
to
a
stop.
circle is still stopping in one place.
It's
Yes,
not
it's
stopping,
moving around.
Mr. Stroker. She then refused to speak to them as well. As much as she can refuse to speak to them, she has to stop and speak to them. She has to stop and account for them first. She
Yes,
cannot
which
just
her
continue to
statement
walk
is
away.
freedom of
That is not
speech,
the
and then
whole
they
point of stop and
retaliated.
account. The resisting then is she's then been placed under arrest under the suspicion of the Molotov due to the fact that she refused to stop and account.
So you're basically just saying that someone's civil rights can be breached by a police officer?
No.
Because that is
Are you
freedom of
good?
speech by saying she doesn't need to talk to him.
No, okay, listen, Mr. Stroker. Her freedom of speech is fine. However, she first has to stop and account for herself, right? If
Yes,
does-
she
if
stopped.
fails
She
to
said
account
she
for
doesn't need to
herself,
talk to
that
him.
is-
He never then tried to start talking and say anything of the situation, and then
Mr.
he's
Stroker,
just gone and
it is-
arrested her.
It was submitted in evidence that she refused to stop. That is the first part of stop and account. Okay, if she refuses to stop, then they're within their rights to detain her. Okay. Once she's stopped, if she hasn't refused, she is then within her rights to ask if she is being detained. If she isn't being detained, she's free to leave, but she has to stop and account for herself first. That's the whole
Yes,
point
which
of
needs
stop and account.
transparency, which it literally states in the section.
She gave them no opportunity to have transparency, Mr. Stroker.
Yes,
She
he
fled the
didn't give
minute
her
she-
any opportunity by shouting "ma'am" in her face and saying this is a lawful order.
According to the statements, they asked her to stop, and she didn't. That's not the transparency you're looking for. Shouting "ma'am" is not what they've claimed they've said, and there was multiple officers within that witness statement that have said that they've done that. Mr. Stroker, if you're not happy with my jurisdiction, then feel free to file for a mistrial, and we can get an outside judge for this. However, that is my judgment on this case.
That is exactly what's going to happen.
Get off the charges, please.
Mr. Stroker, if you continue with that attitude, you'll just be removed from the LSJ.
Oh my god, I'm making you found a picture.
Sorry, I'm off the charges.
It's an absolute.
You good?
There's straight there.
What's up?
I'm filing for a mistrial.
You good, Joe?
Nope.
Well, I've sent you reward. I'll give you 10k, alright?
Thank you.
You did good there. You got fucked over a bit.
I say you should.
Oops, I'm like, good evening, all. How are we?
It was going 50-50 real way through from the ends.
Your handler is permission to find.
What the fuck? I'm running back to the courtroom, you idiot. Shut up.
I'm not gonna lie. Like they've literally gone against someone's civil. Like we're meant to do stuff within the bounds of the law, the LORE law. So anything in the Los Santos law, book, they have to abide by, and them doing a stop and account, and them taking a police officer's accountability of a situation over another government employee's accountability of a situation is not right. It's a he said, she said at the end of the day, and it's a them doing whichever happened. If they turn around and say, "I don't need to talk to you," is a freedom of speech violation because they've retaliated by arresting her for not by stating, "I'm not talking to you." Why is the music not playing? Right. I don't know when I'll be next be live, but I'm heading off. I was only on for the court case, and that court case was an absolute travesty. I'm not gonna lie, we're meant to follow what's in the law book. So I've argued with everything that's in the law book that literally the section 11 of the Police Powers Act. A police officer may stop an individual or vehicle for questioning without conducting a search or making arrest. However, transparency and accountability in police interactions with public must be maintained. By shouting "ma'am, ma'am, 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 ma'am" is not transparency. By not detailing any information, even if she's walking around in circles, she's stopped in one physical location. She's not running. She's not fleeing. She's walking around in circles. So he has every right. He can turn around and talk. He's not turning around and talking. He's just turned around and gone to, this is a lawful order, this is a lawful order. It's not a lawful order if you're not carrying on to account for what is the situation you're stopping them for. You've not identified yourself as an officer, even if you're wearing a uniform. Because that's just how it works. And then she's turned around and says that she doesn't want to talk to them, which, even under arrest, you have the right to remain silent, which currently at the moment isn't a civil right. It's a custody right. But the freedom of speech, individuals have the right to an opinion and opinions and beliefs without fear of censorship or retaliation within the bounds of the law. So them telling a police officer that I don't have to talk to you, then the police officer turns around and says, yes, we've had a situation happen, we need to talk to you to figure out the situation. He never stated that, which means he's not accountability for the stop and account. And then obviously the whole stupid court, the whole document for the arrest report, literally the PD officer says the arrest report shouldn't have been made. The judge literally just turned around and said the arrest report shouldn't have been remade because it was only used for an arrest report with no other information necessary in it. So that doesn't... There's no burden of proof for anything apart from the violations of everything. I'm sorry, but that's just not right. It doesn't matter what happens in the courtroom, they just turn around and rule against you, even if you're trying to rule... Even as a prosecution, I've had it. Even if I'm on the prosecution side, they've turned around and said, no, you can't do this. If I'm on judge side, on defense side, no, you can't do this. Like, we are so limited in the laws at the moment, and a judge basically ruling that a stop and account, a person walking around in a circle is stopped in one location. It's just stupid. Anyway, no idea when I'll be next to live.